Harnessing the Power of Momentum by Coach Keith Griffin. Common sense is not always common. Last weekend, I began reading the book Mini Habits by Stephen Guise. A review is coming soon, and I encountered his views on momentum, motivation, and willpower. While much of what I've read thus far seems more common sense than groundbreaking, I have to admit it wasn't common sense for me. Maybe just the mere reading of his words on momentum started me down a path of productivity that was inevitable. Perhaps not. Either way, I can say this past week has been the most productive week I've had in a long time, and I don't feel the brakes being applied anytime soon. This snowball of getting stuff done, pardon the tired metaphor for momentum, started down the hill despite my coming back from Dragon Con with the common con crud. It all started Wednesday. As an aside, my spouse would tell you I was highly productive on Tuesday, but I don't take credit for that productivity because it all came from my calendar. I never feel like getting to and attending the appointments on my calendar carries the same weight as marketing things off a task list. It could be the lack of a decisive, I did this thing check mark, or I could just be mad. Do you find yourself not taking the same credit for appointments as you do tasks? Let me know by commenting below. Around noon 30 on Wednesday, I decided to sit down and check my email for the day and found an offer from Texture, a service I use, in my inbox that just would be perfect for sharing. I had just over an hour in which to create an entirely new section on my website, write, proofread, change, proofread again, second guess, and post my article before I was to call my coaching client. Challenge accepted. Once I had created the article, I set out to create the web page that will house all of my future Stuff I Love posts. From there, I realized that the page should probably go under an About Keith section, so that was created next. Then it hit me that About Keith is a ridiculous section to have without having any information about me. Guess what happened next? I'm quite sure the About Me page is on a few different task lists, but it was not on my list for Wednesday. Likewise, the Stuff I Love section has been in my mind since at least this time last year, and it is probably stuck somewhere on a someday maybe list. When I woke up that morning, I never intended to do anything with the site, and in just over an hour, I had created a new section, 2 new pages, and began my blogging career. Momentum carried me forward. As people in possession of an ADHD brain, it can be difficult to get the push we need to start the ball rolling downhill. It may be, however, that we need to look for smaller ways to get started. A simple email got me started, and I was so pumped I continued down the mountain of previously undone stuff. Post-coaching call, I made a decision to edit together the segments of audio I recorded the previous week but had discarded as not good enough for a podcast. Somehow the idea of getting an episode out was now more important than the inner critic whose sole goal in life seems to be putting me down. Having recorded a quick confessional introduction and lacing together the words, breaths, and pauses recorded in late August, I found myself with my first episode in 6 months. I also wound up breaking my subscribe and review page, that's on the list to be fixed, by fiddling with it, sent a bunch of emails I'd been meaning to do, came up with a flurry of new topics for future posts and podcasts, registered at the last minute for a program I've been waiting to attend, and even put a few things on the old task list. All this from a simple email. Momentum continued despite a day off. Each Thursday generally finds me with a scheduled day off where I try my hardest not to be productive. This would seem an easy task for a guy that is posting about how hard it can be to get started. That is the crux of this post, right? But nonetheless, each week I'm admonished to have a good day off as my spouse heads off to work. Easier said than done. But this past Thursday, I did indeed spend the day relaxing and taking care of my cold. Much to my surprise, the momentum I'd built up on Wednesday carried through to Friday, where again I got a bunch of stuff done, much of it unplanned officially, but contained somewhere between my head and completion. I even went far out of my comfort zone, and I did something I believed myself unqualified to do. Yet, I found I am not only qualified, but actually very good at doing it. More on that in a future post. I gotta keep you coming back after all. How did this happen, and how has the momentum that I started on Wednesday carried forward to today? TLDR, what I learned. It turns out that momentum can be paused for a period of time and still carry one forward as long as it doesn't stay paused for so long that it becomes part of the mountain. Using my now over-apologized for metaphor, I put a wedge in front of the snowball on Thursday and Saturday. Friday and today, Sunday, I removed that wedge and the ball started downhill again. Had the wedge been left in place Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, that snowball very well may have melted and refrozen just enough to become part of the mountain. In other words, I very much doubt I'd have made a post to my Facebook page earlier today and written this post to be published first thing on Monday. And by the way, recorded the audio transcription at like 10 o'clock on Sunday night. I've also learned there is no certain amount or perfect type of momentum needed to get the ball of productivity rolling. The next time you find yourself unmotivated and depleted of willpower, look to the tool of momentum to begin checking off things on your list. Look for a small task, followed by another, that can be done in challenge mode to get that snowball rolling again. Before you know it, you'll be on the path to productivity. In other words, I have learned there is no perfect for about the 1000th time. I'm curious to know whether you've found yourself suddenly driven forward by the power of momentum. Is it a tool you use regularly? How do you find it when you've let the ball sit for too long? Please share and comment below. Thank you for listening.